Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden diddle, and everything you missed. The film Circle begins with a group of unconscious people standing in an unknown place with dim lighting. After some moments, one of them wakes up and started calling the group around her, but nobody answers. She tried to move forwards, but there is an alarm buzzed. And when she steps back, the alarm rang buzzed, which means that moving is forbidden. She discovered that she was standing in a red circle, and even when she tried to touch the soldier next to her, the device buzzed again and a small red circle appeared on her hand, warning her that touching anyone else was not allowed. One of the people in the room spoke to her and told her to stay in place and stop moving because they were being watched. There was another woman who was awake and was very scared and tense. The man who spoke first tried to calm her down, but she didn't listen to him and stepped completely outside the red circle. At that moment, an electric beam shot out and killed her instantly, along with another person who was there. The man who spoke first spoke again and told everyone not to move from their places. Then they heard a loud siren and the bodies of the people who died were dragged away. Moments later, the electric beam recharged and killed the man who was talking. There was a man among those standing wearing a cap, and he was watching the lights on the ground. When the electric beam killed another person, chaos increased in the place and people didn't know what to do. At that moment, the man with the cap spoke and told them that the killing was not random, and that the lights on the ground pointed to the person who would die before the beam struck. He realized that they could control the lights on the ground. Suddenly, the electric beam struck another person and they started hearing the siren again. At that moment, a pregnant woman woke up from her coma and didn't understand what was happening. They discovered that they were choosing who would die and voting by moving their hand. One of them suggested, and everyone agreed. But when they did that, the electric beam still fired and killed a random person in the room. And they were all scared. Then a man in a blue t-shirt appeared among them and asked them to calm down and think of strategies to get out of their situation. The first thing he said was that they should vote for the oldest people to die first, to buy themselves some time to think. The man with the cap agreed with his suggestion, but the others objected. The man in blue continued and said it was the only solution and suggested they start clockwise with the oldest dying in order. The man in blue pointed to an old man among them and the alarm started to sound, indicating the beam would strike at any moment. The old man kept begging them not to kill him, but the electric beam struck and killed him. After the old man died, the group agreed with the strategy of the man in blue, and they all started talking about what was happening to them. One woman asked the soldier if what was happening was an alien invasion or something like that. But unfortunately, the soldier had no idea what was going on. Then a man standing behind him, dressed in black, spoke and said he remembered the last thing he saw before coming there. He continued, saying, "I was standing in a traffic jam and suddenly I was pulled from my place and brought here." Then the others all said they remembered something similar. The siren started again and the group voted for the old woman whose turn it was. And indeed, the beam fired and she died. The man in black continued and said he remembered a spaceship or something like that. And when he entered it, he found many bodies. He also said he believed those bodies weren't dead, just sedated, as if they were drugged at first. Then it was time again and they all voted for the old man whose turn it was, and he died. The man whose turn it was spoke and said he remembered what happened to him, and that there were aliens. Someone in the group spoke and said, "You're lying to save yourself." And suddenly the beam took off and the man died after that. The man wearing the cap asked whose turn it is to die, and they all headed towards her standing and asked her how old she is. The woman told them that she is 52 years old and of course she was too young to die, and they all changed their minds. The woman continued her speech and said, "I look old, but because I had cancer, but I was able to overcome it." The man in blue spoke and said, "Since you're the most likely to die among those standing, it's your turn." Then a doctor stepped in and said that was wrong and that she had survived the disease. So now their chances were equal. The man in blue spoke again and said that 52 years old is still old and she should die. The group objected and told him he was being mean, and when he tried to convince them of his strategy, they killed him and started over. The woman who had cancer spoke and suggested they think in a better way and try to figure out why the circle chose them. Most of those standing were convinced it was a random selection, but the woman with cancer said they should try. Maybe there was a connection or something. One of the women standing started talking. Her name was Bess. Bess started talking about herself at first, and at that moment, the siren sounded again, and the beam killed back. One woman in the group said they shouldn't say their names, and she was also worried about sharing any other information with each other. Then another man named Craig spoke, ignoring their warning, and said the woman to his left was his wife. Then a man in a blue shirt spoke and said he knew the doctor. Craig interrupted and kept begging the others not to kill his wife. Suddenly the siren sounded again and killed one of the group. The group asked the Spanish man to speak, but he didn't understand what they were talking about, so the woman behind said she would translate for him. When they asked about his life, he told them he had 3 daughters in Mexico. Then a man in a red tie spoke and began to criticize illegal immigration, but the man in the blue shirt mocked him. The group asked the translator to ask him if he was in America legally, and the Spanish man told them no. A policeman spoke from the group and said he knew someone among them named Raul, because he had hit his girlfriend before. Then the policeman and Raul started arguing, and he told him he was biased toward women, which is why Raul was in prison. The group asked Raul if he really hit his girlfriend, and Raul said she got what she deserved. Then the electric beam killed Raul. A blonde girl at the front spoke and said they needed to find out who among them was good, and who was. Then a blonde man at the back spoke and told her, so you're going to decide who lives and who dies on that basis. Then the siren sounded and the beam killed the Muslim woman at the front. Then an African man among those standing spoke about racism, and that the whites would agree to kill him next for no reason. At that moment another African American advised him not to talk about it. This topic is so that he doesn't make himself a target for the group, and the man who was wearing the cap agreed to this suggestion. The white people in the group talked about racism, and the guy in the shorts spoke as well, and he was very racist and biased against Africa. The buzzer went off again and eliminated the policeman. Then the soldier spoke and asked them to change the subject of racism, but the African man did not agree, and said that everything should be on the table so they could know who was racist and who was normal. The soldier spoke again along with the translator, and said that they should think together, not against each other, and try to find a solution to the disaster they were in instead of arguing. After that the group made a plan and started voting for themselves. But the plan didn't work. A random person died. The next time everyone voted for the person next to them to balance the votes, but a mistake happened among them, and another random person died. They decided to repeat the process, and the pregnant woman tried to help the little girl next. This time they had to choose between the pregnant woman and another man. Then the electric beam was triggered and the man died. The man dressed in black spoke again, and said he voted for the man, because he saw him voting for the pregnant woman. Then he said that this game was designed so that only 2 would remain, and the matter would surely end up between the little girl and the pregnant woman. At that point the blonde man spoke again and said that if they got rid of the pregnant woman and the little girl, they would have a better chance. The man in the striped shirt objected to him, and the man with the tie objected as well. The woman with cancer said that the pregnant woman counts as 2 people. At that moment voting started again and they had to choose between the little girl and the pregnant woman. The man standing behind them voted to kill them both, but the beam killed him instead. Craig suggested to the group that some of them volunteer to die to save the rest, and they started arguing, but no one volunteered. Then a teenage boy among them volunteered, and the man in the shirt objected, saying that the boy didn't know what was good for him. But the man with the red tie told him that it was the boy's decision and his freedom. Then they asked him why he volunteered, and the teenage boy said he didn't want anyone to kill anyone else. Moments later, another older man volunteered, and when the buzzer went off, he left the man with the red tie and the one with the glasses said that some of them should volunteer, but neither of them intended to sacrifice themselves. The man in the striped shirt said that the whole group should volunteer except for the pregnant woman. Then the man with the glasses asked the teenager if he wanted to volunteer again, and when the buzzer went off, the boy left the circle and sacrificed himself. The group expected the soldier to sacrifice himself next time, but the soldier surprised them and refused to sacrifice himself, telling them that he had risked his life for them enough, and this time he wouldn't sacrifice himself for anyone because he wanted to return to his wife and child. At that time, a woman in the group volunteered because her son had died and she no longer had anyone to live for. One of the standing men, who was a church priest, spoke to her and told her she would meet her son soon. Then she said goodbye to the group and left the circle, thus dying. After that, one of the standing men started attacking the priest, asking him, "How will you help us with the electric shock killing people like this?" The man lost control and started looking for atheists among the group. Then the buzzer went off again and targeted him and another girl, and the beam killed the girl, leaving the atheist boy. The atheist started confronting everyone and asked the blonde girl next to him if she was a prostitute. The girl replied, "What are you saying?" He kept provoking her until she cried. The second round of voting began, and the atheist died. The blonde girl continued, and the man with glasses told them they had to consider people who had children. Craig said he and his wife had a daughter. The man with glasses said that people who didn't have children should die first. Then the man with the red tie asked a woman behind him if she had children or a husband, and the girl didn't answer him and returned the question to him. While they were talking, the electric beam was triggered again and killed a woman who was standing among them. The girl continued talking and told the man with the red tie about her life, and at that moment she revealed she was a different. The man with the red tie attacked the different girl because he was against homosexuals, and the whole group was annoyed by his behavior and bias, so he died in the next round. The blonde man spoke and asked what would happen when only 2 people remained. The man in black spoke and said that one of them would have to sacrifice themselves for the other to live. The man in the striped shirt said he would sacrifice himself if the choice was between him, the little girl, and the pregnant woman. The woman with cancer said they had to choose wisely to save someone they could trust. The translator said there was no one among them who could be completely trusted. The blonde man said they should all consult together on the decision. Then the blonde girl asked what would happen if it came down to the pregnant woman and the little girl, and the doctor answered her saying that they would repeat the process then. The buzzer went off again and the doctor and the man she knew were targeted, but the group didn't vote for either of them, and both died. The blonde man said they had to vote and choose who would die instead of both dying together. The conversation returned to the same topic, and they started talking about the choice between the pregnant woman and the little girl. The man with glasses asked the pregnant woman what she did for a living. The group objected, and he said he was just asking a normal question to know who contributed more to society. The translator told them that the important thing was that she was pregnant, not how much she contributed to society. The man with glasses kept provoking the whole group, and the buzzer went off again and killed the man with the cap. The man in the shirt asked the man with glasses what his job was, and the man with glasses said he was a bank manager. The beam started again and killed the translator. Most people agreed that is the turn of the Spanish man, because this translator died. The conversation returned again to the pregnant woman and the little girl, and the group decided to split into 2. Half would not vote for the pregnant woman and the little girl, and the other half might vote for them to die. Then the vote started again, targeting the little girl and the Spanish man, and the Spanish man sacrificed himself for the little girl. The group split again, and the man with glasses was the leader of the group that wanted to kill the child and the pregnant woman, which consisted of him, the couple, and the African man. The rest didn't want to kill the little girl and the pregnant woman. The vote started again, targeting the man with glasses and the little girl, and the man with glasses died. Then Craig spoke and said that the pregnant woman is the one who should live, and the group chose the man wearing stripes to die next, so they could buy some time. Indeed, they voted for him, and the man died. After that, the soldier suggested that Craig's wife should be the one to die to test Craig's reaction. At that moment, Craig lost control and started shouting. In the end, they voted for the African man. The blonde man got angry and said that the couple might not actually be married. Then everyone started questioning the couple about their lives to make sure. After that, one of the people standing asked the wife about Craig's name, and the wife couldn't remember his name even though he had said it at the beginning. Craig tried to defend himself and told them that it was the fake wife's idea. Then the fake wife admitted that she lied to them about being married to Craig, but she really does have a son. After that, the blonde man tried to convince everyone to join him, including the fake wife, the different girl, and a man who had been standing quietly from the very beginning but never spoke. But no one was convinced to join him. Then the voting started, and this time 5 people were marked: the blonde man, the soldier, the woman with cancer, the blonde woman, and the different girl. The surprise was that 4 of them died, and only the blonde man remained. The priest kept crying over the loss of the people, and the blonde man continued with his strategy, and also asked the pregnant woman to vote and join him, but she refused his offer. After that, the priest apologized to the pregnant woman, stepped out of the circle, and died. Now the numbers have changed, and the man in black has to change his strategy. At that point, the blonde man suggested that he kill someone from his team this time, and someone from the man in black's team next time. He chose to sacrifice the fake wife this time, and indeed the fake wife died. The man who had been silent since the beginning of the movie hadn't voted for anyone. The man in black said that the silent man had never voted for anyone, and managed to make his way to the current state. He agreed with the blonde man that they would vote for the silent man, but secretly signaled to the pregnant woman and the little girl to vote for the blonde man. Indeed, he betrayed him and killed him with the shock. Now only 4 people remained from the original group. This time they voted for the silent man because he was the only one left, and indeed the man died. Now only 3 remain: the pregnant woman, the little girl, and the man in black. The pregnant woman asked about the reason for everything that was happening, and the man in black replied, telling her that maybe the aliens were conducting an experiment on humans to see how they would behave. The pregnant woman continued and asked again why the aliens chose this particular method. The man in black answered her, reflecting their thinking. The man in black spoke to the little girl and the pregnant woman and told them to decide who would die with him because he couldn't decide for them. At that moment, the little girl started crying because she decided to sacrifice herself to save the pregnant woman and her baby. The man in black agreed with the little girl that they would step out of the circle together. At the moment the little girl stepped out, the man in black voted for the pregnant woman, thus killing both at once and surviving alone. Strangely, the man was not freed even though he was the only one left, and the buzzer started again. The man started cursing the aliens because he thought they were going to kill him, but when the buzzer stopped, the voting began, and he was marked along with the fetus in the pregnant woman's womb. He chose to kill the fetus and survive himself. At that moment, the man exited the ship and woke up to find himself lying on the ground, the spaceship flying above him, and he also discovered that there were many ships flying around, and the movie ended. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos.